And the form that that will take is random exercises from adventofcode.com. It's been going on now for, I think that this will be the 7th year that it's done. It started in, let's see, this is 2015. The same, I forget who created it, but he's famous for a bunch of other stuff, like I think phpsadness.net and stuff like that. Anyway, it's an advent calendar, and each day you are given a problem. It's released at midnight, and there are leaderboards and stuff like that. But it's a nice little review because they're nice little exercises that allow us to do a bunch of stuff. You can log in with GitHub if you want to. Obviously, the one from 2015 is already complete, but that doesn't prevent us from doing it again. So let's go ahead and get into it and look at what the actual problem is. Now, don't worry about the background. There's a little story that each year that goes along with it. You're trying to save Christmas or help Santa or something like that. Just understand that for this one, there's an elevator, right? And we start in floor, I think, 1. Let's see. Yeah. Or sorry, we start in floor 0, okay? He starts in the ground floor 0 and follows the instructions 1 character at a time. It's a bunch of parentheses. A left parenthesis means that you go up in the elevator 1 floor. A right parenthesis means that you go down an elevator in 1 floor. And you assume that it's infinite, an infinitely large building, an infinitely, deep basement, right? So, for example, if you have left, up, right, that means that you went down 2 floors, and then you went up 2 floors, meaning that you resulted on the same floor, floor 0 here. Right? Left means that you go down, so you're on floor, you're on floor 3, right? So left parenthesis is up and right parenthesis is down. So let's keep that straight and help me keep that straight. Right parenthesis would be in floor -1. So you're in the basement, the third basement. You're on floor 0 to start with, etc. All right. So as an example, well, all of these are examples. I already did my puzzle answer, so we're going to expect an output here of 280, whatever it is. And so let's take a look at what it actually looks like. Right? We've got a whole bunch of test cases here if we really want them. But let's go ahead and get the puzzle input here, over here. There we go. So there's my puzzle input. Right? It's not that large, right? But you're definitely not doing this by hand. Now, one thing that you could do is you could go ahead and say do a character count of how many left arrows are there, and they're 1,000. How many right are there? And there are, they're more than 1,000, sorry. So more than 1,000 matches, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to do this really quick with just a browser trick. And besides, that would defeat the purpose of a review, right? So let's go ahead and write this code. I was bored over the weekend, so I did some work on the previous year. So let's go ahead and touch 2000, this was 2015, right? It was day 1. And every day there are 2 parts. There's A part and a B part with the same input. So the trick to doing these kind of exercises is to make sure that you're thinking forward, like what else are they going to ask? Because if I design this solution and back myself into a corner, that means that the second part I'm going to have to redesign it. Okay, not so that with the easy stuff, and it does get progressively harder. So day 1 is easy stuff. Day 2, day 3, it gets harder and harder and harder. Eventually, you're doing things like simulating entire assembly languages and stuff like that towards the end. Then it doesn't get too. It gets more frustrating than it gets fun. But if you push through it, then yay, great, right? Just making sure that the live stream is working here. Okay. Hopefully that's working. OBS is saying that we're fine. Maybe it's just my computer over here. Anyway, it's just a review anyway. So I'm going to go ahead, not TXT, but C. All right, and let's open that up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go from scratch here. Oops, that's not the 2015A here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go from scratch, and I'm going to write this program from the beginning. Right. So we'll include the standard stuff, include stdlib, include stdio, because I'm probably going to be doing file IO here, right? That's the whole point of this review. File IO, string manipulation, etc. Okay. Let's go ahead and create a main. Int main, int argc, arg c char arg v. And let's go ahead and define which file we're going to open up, right? So if the number of arguments is not equal to 2, then we'll go ahead and say, you know, quit, right? Printf usage, include the file name that you want to open up and process, okay? And we'll exit on them. There we go. Otherwise, I'm going to want to open the file for processing. That's too big. So let's open it up. File f is equal to fopen. And we're going to open up the thing in the command line, the first command line argument. Remember, actually the second command line argument, but the first user provided command line argument. And we're going to open it up for the purposes of reading. Right? Now, this file is just a bunch of, you know, characters, right? In fact, let's go ahead and cut and paste it and put it over here now. So let's go ahead and create this file, new file, 2015-01 input.txt. And I'm going to go ahead and cut and paste it there. Ooh, it's one big giant line, it looks like. Is that right? Yeah. There's no end line characters at all here. Right? That's nice and convenient to know. Right? All right. So, ideas. Since there are no end line characters, there's only one big giant line, what can I do? Should I attempt to read this file line by line or character by character? Character by character, I like that. Char c is equal to. Now, what function do I use to read a character? F get c, right? And I'm going to read it in from this file. Now, remember, what did I not do here? I needed to make sure that it opens. So if it's null, then I'll go ahead and print an error message here. Printf error not able to open file %s and the line argv sub 1. That's what I attempted to open. I could be that it doesn't exist. It could be that I don't have permissions for it, et cetera, et cetera. Right? And then we'll go ahead and exit there too. Doesn't matter, another error code, same error code. Right? I'm going to go ahead and get that first character. Now, if that first character is equal to a opening parenthesis, what were the rules? Go up. An opening parenthesis means that you should go up one floor. So that means that I probably want to have some sort of a variable to indicate what the floor is, because I'm going to go up one floor. Where should I start my floor? 0. Ground level. Okay. Else. Now, is there a guarantee that there are only left and right parentheses in here? There's definitely brackets, are there? Or is it an optical illusion? All right. Let's make what you said true. Just in case. I don't know. There might be square brackets. There might be like that kind of stuff. I'm intentionally messing up the input here in order to write a better program over here. Else if C is equal to the right closing bracket, where do I go? Down one floor. Minus, minus. There we go. And then at the end, I will report what floor I'm on. You are at floor %D and the line floor. Now that only does that for the first character, right? I'm going to want to do this over and over and over again. Right? So I'm going to take all of this and put it into a loop. How do I know when I'm done? While the character is not equal to the, now if it's f get c, we're talking about characters, and there's a special character that indicates an end of file, EOF. Good. Right. There we go. Indent everything. Right. So while you've not reached the end of the file, then go ahead and determine if it's a left bracket or left parenthesis or right parenthesis, right? And go up one floor or down one floor. Is that going to work the way that I've got it right now? No. What am I not doing? I'm not setting myself up for the next loop iteration, right? How many characters am I ever reading from this file? Just one. Right? This will end up in an infinite loop because you never actually change that character. Okay? So should I do it right here? C is equal to f get c of f. Think about that. I read the first character on line 19. Do I look at it at all? Nope. So I end up throwing it away, and I'm going to get an off by 1 answer here. Okay. So when do I want to read this? Probably at the end of the loop. Just like a for loop, right? For I equals 0, while I is less than 5, I plus plus. When does that plus plus happen for it to go to 0, to 1, to 2, to 3? At the end of a loop. So the update, you probably want that at the end of the loop, but other use cases, maybe you want that at the beginning of the loop. Okay? All right, GCC 2015. A, there we go. We're good, except that, what did I forget to do here? I don't want to corrupt my file. So before I run this, let's go ahead and go with a close. Right, there we go. All right, GCC, a.out. It's expecting a file name. That file name is whatever I had here, input, right, .txt. I forget what the answer was, but let's find out what we have. 280. Was that the answer? Do you remember? Hey, 280. Right? Very, very simple back in 2015. Until you get maybe to part 2. Part 2 is a little bit twist on it, right? Same exact input, right? But you want the position of the first character that causes them to enter the basement, floor 1. So you could go up 50 floors, down 20, up and down, all you want. But the second that you hit that basement, that's when you stop and report. How many characters have you read so far? Okay. For that, I'm probably not going to want all those brackets back in there. Undo, undo, undo. Why? Because I'll end up counting. Oops. Oh, nope. No. No, I would not. Redo it. All right, fine. There's my input, copy, paste. There we go. Let's close that and not touch it again. I don't want to screw it up anymore. All right. Suggestions. Cut and paste this and create an entirely new program, or could I report both of these inputs and outputs at the same time? All right, when I check with the floor is -1, right? After I've actually, gone up or down, right? And before I read the next character, if the floor is equal to -1, then that's the first time that I have actually entered the basement. I need to keep track of that. All right? Counter, right? Or first basement visit counter. I don't know. Counter, right? There we go. First basement visit counter. And then I actually need to set that to something, right? Is equal to counter. So that means I need a counter as well. Counter is equal to 0, right? I'm going to keep a counter for the number of characters I've read, right? This should look very familiar, right? We did this in class in that I showed you how to read a file character by character by character. All you had to do is cut and paste that code and keep that character count, allocate memory for it, and do it all over again. But instead of keeping a counter, put it into the string, and you've got file get contents. Okay? All right, let's find out if this works. Oh, and let's report it down here. All right, you entered the basement at character %d, and we'll report this. I don't have high hopes that this is going to work, and we'll discuss why here in a second. Oops. Counter is undeclared. Fine. There you go. That's not why I had low hopes for it, but let's go ahead and do it again. There we go. You entered the basement at character 6111. Now, I already did it 7 years ago. Was that my answer? 1797. Nope. If I had submitted that answer, there is a wait time. I think that you're throttled by 5 minutes or something, so you can't just try every single number or spam them or something like that, right? Because there are leaderboards, right? You can check that if you get right in there at midnight and win, then you get bragging rights or something, right? I think that it only tracks the top 100. 1 year, I made the top 100 on one problem. But I had to stay up till midnight, and I'm not doing that again, ever again. Right. All right. So What did I do wrong? I'm keeping track of the counter the entire time, right? Am I ever only going to enter the basement once? Probably not, right? I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down. What if I enter the basement once and then go down 10 floors, come back up 10 floors? That's when I hit the basement again, right? That's not going to be the first basement counter. That will be the last basement counter that you hit. That will be the counter of the last time that you entered the basement floor. So how can I fix this? If this is the first time you've entered the basement floor is what you want, right? This says if you entered the basement, right? What I want is if you entered the basement for the first time. Right? To do that, I'm going to go ahead and initialize this to some value that says, I know that's completely wrong, right? Because I'm counting characters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? If I initialize this to -1 and check it, right? If first basement counter is equal to -1 and floor is equal to -1, the interpretation is going to be you have not hit the basement floor yet, first, right? Because it's -1. And you've hit the basement, right? So therefore, update the first basement counter to whatever counter this is. Right? It will no longer be -1, and this will never, ever be true again. Right? Let's see if that works. And I forget, 17 something. 1797. Is that it? Hey, 1797. There you go. All right. Okay, we've got, that took us 15 minutes or so. Do we want to do day 2 or go to another year? Or what do we want to do? Day 2? All right. Maybe. I was told that there would be no math. Oh, actually, no. I wanted to. Sorry. Let's go to last year, day 1 events. Last year, day 1, because that will give us an opportunity to use the other file processing tool that we've covered, forgets. Okay. So for this one, don't worry about the. You're on the sea floor again. Now you're not in a building anymore. You're in a submarine, right? And you're at a particular depth. You're at depth 199, and then you go down to depth 200. Then you go down to depth 280, 208, et cetera, et cetera. So this report indicates that scanning outward from the submarine, the sonar sweeps have found depths of 199, 200, 208, and so on. What you want to do is count the number of times that the measurement increases. So for example, going from 199 to 200, that increased. Going from 200 to 208, that increased. 208 to 210, that increased. But then when it went from 210 to 200, that decreased. Okay? What you want to do is you want to count the number of increases. Right? There are 7 measurements that are larger than the previous measurement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Let me get my input here. Where's my input? There we go. I'll close that input there. There's my input. Oops. How many are there? A lot. Ooh, wow. How many are there? I have no idea. Let's go ahead and cut and paste it and find out over here. So I will want a new file. This is 2021, day 1, input.txt. There we go. 2,000 measurements. Okay. Now, why do I not want to read character by character in this case? Yeah, they're n-line characters, and who cares that the first character is a 5? You want all of these characters because you want to convert it to a number so you can compare it to the previous number. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to copy the previous one, 2015, 01A, to 2021, 01, or no, it was 21, right? Yeah, 21, 01, and I'll just go see it here. All right, I'll keep them both in the same file there. Get rid of this. Refresh. There we go. All right. Same thing. Open the file. If you're not able to open it, go ahead and quit. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of the rest of this. All right. except for close. F. Okay. Now, again, you've got 2 parts each day. So maybe, thinking ahead here, maybe I don't want to just read line by line and only look at the previous value and the current value. Maybe I want to read this entire thing into an integer array. The first thing I can do is go over here and cheat and see that, oh, I've got 2,000 lines here, 2,000 numbers, right? So I could set this up so that it's an integer array of numbers of size 2,000. That's not that big, right? But this is a review. I want to do this proper. Right? I want to read in the file line by line, count up the number of lines that there were so that I have a counter that says that there are 2,000 lines in there. Okay? Because maybe we want to test, I don't know, not this input, but the test case input. This input right here. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and close that out. So we've opened up the file, read through it once, and count up the number of lines, ... Right. So int count. I'll initialize it to 0. All right. Now what's the other tool that I'm going to be using here? Forgets. Right. Let's go ahead and get rid of that entirely there. What are the arguments that I give to forgets? The buffer that you want to read it into, the size of the buffer, 1,000 is going to be more than enough in this case, and the file that you're running to read from, F. Okay? And forgets returns a pointer, char star line, that you can use to determine if you're at the end of the file or not. What will this pointer be at the end of the file? Null. So let's go into another while loop here. While line is not equal to null, then I will increment my counter and read the next line. Right? None of this is new. We did all of this in class before. Right? I'm just going over it again here. Right? Once we've got a number here, we know how many numbers or how many lines are in that file. Now we can set up our integer array numbers dynamically. Int star malloc size of int times line or count. Sorry, there we go. Right. By the way, should I close the file here? Am I done with it? I could, but then what am I going to do? I'm going to go through it again, read through it again, line by line, and convert to an integer and store it in numbers. ... Right? So if I close it, that's an option. What am I going to have to do again if I want to process it again? Open it again. Right? Cut, paste this. Cut, paste this, or paste this. There we go. So that was a perfectly acceptable solution in your last hack. Right? In fact, that's what we expected most people to do. A lot of people, though, started doing what we've suggested, and RTMing, reading the manual, reading documentation. Some folks, instead of closing it, and, oh, did I eliminate the close? Yeah, I did. Some folks, instead of closing it and opening it again, they did what? So think in terms of like 1970s, 1980s. Where is everything stored? Not hard drives yet, right? Not solid state drives, not thumb drives, on big giant magnetic tape decks. Right? And so if you want to read data, you are fast forwarding and you are rewinding, right? Or rewind, F. That takes F, the pointer, and goes all the way back to the beginning of the file. Some people even went another step and looked and saw that there was these fseek, right? What you can do is you can, like that's advancing in the file or rewinding in the file to arbitrary locations. Right? Rewind is just fine though. Right? We're going to rewind all the way back to the beginning. We don't have to reopen it. All we're going to do is go through it again with the exact same values here. And instead of counting it, we're going to convert that line to an integer and put that into our array. But wait a second. I already know how many lines there are. Instead of a while loop, I'm going to switch it up and go to a for loop. I is less than, what was it, count? I plus plus. Right? I will get the next line, right? And then I will convert it, numbers sub I is equal to a to I of line or buffer, it doesn't matter. It's pointing to the same thing, right? I don't have to check null anymore here because I already opened it once. I know how many lines there are in count, right? And so I could use a for loop instead. Now I'll close it, right? Now I've got my data. Let's make sure that it actually is correct. Right? What I mean by that is let's go ahead and print them all out. Right? Printf. Numbers sub %d is equal to %d and the line. And so I and numbers of I. All right? We're not solving the problem here yet at all. All I'm doing is making sure that I've read my data incorrectly. My data into memory correctly, not incorrectly. Oops, nope, GCC 2021-01.c. There we go. Oop, I never declared my buffer, sorry. Char buffer. Is there a problem with making this into a static string here? Not really, because it'll be cleaned up automatically. It's also not big enough to even worry about it. Would 1, 2, 3. Would that be big enough to worry about it? You're getting there, right? That would definitely be way too big. Right. There we go. All right. So GCC a.out. What did I call my data file? 2021-01 input. There we go. 10415 is that the input? 10415. Great. And it all started out with, oh, okay. It's not keeping track of all the values here, but 4906, right? Followed by 49013, 49. Yep, I'm convinced that it works. Okay. So now instead of printing it out, let's actually do the assignment or the task here. Right? So all I need to do is go through and look at the number and then look at the next number. If that's greater than the current number, then I increment a counter. So let's restore this, and instead of printing it, we will look at if numbers sub I is strictly less than numbers sub I plus 1, right? Then count plus, or let's rename this counter int. What would I call this? Increase counter. Initialize it to 0. Increase counter. Oops. Plus plus. Right. Now be careful. Printf. Increase counter is equal to %d and the line. There we go. Let's compile this again and see if we get the answer that we're looking for. 1754. I don't know. Let's check. There's definitely a bug in here. 1754. Unfortunately, we got the right answer. Right. So what's the bug? You didn't see it because you got the right answer. Now let's upload it to the grader. We don't get the right answer. Right? Why? Because it's far more rigorous of testing. Right? Let's ask a tool. Valgrind. All that stuff. Valgrind. Valgrind is going to report at least 2 errors here, if not more. Invalid read of size 4. There's our first hint. And down here, there's going to be a leak summary. 8,000 bytes. What does that correspond to? Yep, the roughly 8 kilobytes, the 2,000 numbers that are in there, times 4 bytes for each integer. In other words, this thing was never cleaned up. We can get rid of that, right? Free numbers, and then return 0. There we go. GCC this. Run this again, and now we'll be down to 1 error. The other error that I was worried about. Right? Increase counter 1754, so it looks like it's running. Invalid read of size 4. What's something in this data processing that is of size 4? An integer. Right? What invalid integer am I reading? Yeah. Well, first of all, am I able to tell what line this occurred on? No, because I didn't compile it with what? The G flag. and the wall flag just to make sure, no warnings. Now if I run valgrind again, it will tell me at what line I screwed up. Line 29. What am I doing on line 29? Well, I'm creating this numbers here, right? The address is 0 bytes after a block of 8,000 was allocated. What does that mean? You allocated 8,000 bytes for 2,000 integers. And then you attempted to access something of size 4 after it, right? On line 42. That's how you read that. What am I doing? I plus 1, I plus 2, I plus 3, right? When this gets down to the last one, is there a next one? Nope. So, what's the solution? When you get down to the last number here, do you look to the next number? Nope. So, stop short. You're off by 1. Okay. GCC. Let's run it through valgrind again. We're going to get the same answer, but 0 errors this time. All right? We could have even run GDB on this thing. GDB a.out. All right. What is it? Set args. What's that file? 2021 01 input.txt. Right? And then let's layout source. Right. And let's break at what line do we want to see, to witness this. We know that something is going wrong around line 42, was it? Right? Break at 42. There we go. And let's run it. Refresh. All right, we're here. Print I. All right, we're at 0. All right, next, next, next. Print I. Oops, print I. Print I. There we go. Now we're at 1. Do you want to go through all the way till iteration 2000 to see what's going on? Nope. So what can we do? We can, how do you clear a breakpoint? Clear 42. Yep, deleted breakpoint 1. Break at 42 if I is equal to that last iteration on which we were suspecting that something was wrong. 1998. I'll even go down one further here. Right? Continue. Refresh. Print I. Okay. Print I plus 1. Right. The next one is okay. Next. Next. Now we'll break out of this loop because I fixed the bug already. Right? Next. There we go. Otherwise, that's how you would have also diagnosed it. So it's broken. It doesn't work. Right? It works on my machine, but it doesn't work on the grader. Why? Because you didn't run valgrind to see that you have 50 errors that you need to deal with. Right? That weren't showing up because you only had 1 or 2 test cases as were required. Whereas the grader has thousands or millions of test cases that are auto-generated. Right? All right. What's part B? Oh yeah, that's interesting. Considering every single measurement isn't as useful as you expected, we're going to look at what's called a window. So we're going to look at 3 numbers here, and that will form window A. Then we're going to look at the next 3 numbers. That will form window B. The next 3 numbers. And what you're going to do is you're going to sum them, I think? Yeah. You're going to sum them up, and then you're going to sum up the next window, and the next window, and the next window. And if the window represents an increase, right? For example, here's the window 607, right? There's no previous sum here. Then the next window is 618. That's going to be 200 plus 208 plus 210. The next window is going to be 208 plus 210 plus 200. That's 618, right? There's no change, so that did not increase, et cetera, et cetera. There's a decrease. There's an increase, And now you need to count the number of increases, but with respect to those windows instead. Okay? So, we won't free the number. Oh, here's a good question. Should I go ahead and try doing it right here? No. What have I done? I've freed the numbers already, right? I'm not done with them, so don't do it right here. Do it right here. Right? I will reset my increase counter to be 0. Right? Let's do something very, very similar. Right? But let's change the loop. Right? Okay? First of all, I want to compute the sum. Int sum is equal to numbers sub I plus numbers sub I plus 1 plus numbers sub I plus 2. There we go. There's my sum. Except that, do I have the next sum yet? Okay. What am I going to compare this to look at my increase counter here? I could do two sums. Sum A, and then what's the next one? Sum B will be, if it's these three, then the next sum would be these three. So it'll be, in fact, I'll even show it ASCII text here. Those two plus numbers sub I plus 3. Right? Do you see how that window works? Here are these three, here are the next three. Right? There's a little bit of overlap there, but you can look at those two sums. And then you can ask yourself, if sum A is strictly less than sum B, then you have an increase. Oops. Increase the counter. All right. And then report it down here. Now be careful. Before we stopped short by 1, how much shorter should we stop now? 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. When do I stop? There's 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. So ultimately I would be 0, 1, and 2. 1, 2, and 3. 2, 3, and 4. What's going to be the last one? No? Well, what if there are n? N minus 1. N minus 2. Right? Well, not n, right? N minus 3. So I don't want to go any further than that. What is the maximum number that I've done here? I plus 3. So minus 3. All right. Or minus 2 votes. All right, I'll try that one and compile. It works. Compile works. Compile work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. All right, just go ahead and try each one. 3? Think about that. Where will you actually stop short? Minus 4. Right? Plus 3 gives me n minus 1. Right? So that looks right. Let's find out. CCC. And run it. It's going to report both of those. A dot out. Okay, fine. I don't want to run it through Valgrind anymore. Not yet, at least. Yeah. 1789, was that correct? Oh, cool. It was. 1789. Got it on the first try. Now I will run it through Valgrind. Would we expect anything bad to happen here? I don't know. Let's find out. Nope. I stayed within bounds. Right? Of course, I could have tried -4, gotten the wrong answer, but no errors. I could have tried -2, and definitely Valgrind is going to report an error here, that you went out of bounds. One error. Where? On line 53 is my guess. Let's see. Yep, line 53. Right, I went over that array by 1. All right. We don't have time to do another one unless I speed run it or something like that. So any questions? Again, that website is adventofcode.com. You can log in with a GitHub account, and you can, of course, it doesn't start until December 1st, but you can always go to past events here, 2015, 16, all the way to 2021. That is, oh, that's good. It's the 8th year. Yeah, it's the 8th year. Right. And you earn up to 2 stars a day. You can try going to the leaderboards, but there are some crazy people that just, they've got this entire setup of all the support code just for this purpose, and they get it in a matter of minutes or seconds or something. because they're all pretty much the same. It's competitive coding if you've ever seen it before. All right, we'll continue next time.